Hello everyone. We all have some or the other security solutions like SIM or EDR in our corporate environments to help protect the organizational networks from various threats. In them, we would definitely have created an exhaustive rule set to detect various threats by their known attack patterns. But the challenge there is to test them in close to real time scenarios so as to ensure that they work as they are supposed to. So, to help combat this challenge, we have Atomic Red Team, a GitHub repository that help us to test various rules by launching MITRE mapped attacks. Now, let's see how these attacks are performed. Just a quick statistical overview on the MITRE attack coverage by Atomic Red Team before we get it started. So, if we see that there are 279 tests out of 719 MITRE attack techniques that are covered as of today by Atomic Red Team. So, this makes it 39% of the attack techniques that are covered. So, yeah, let's see that in action. Now I'm in the test machine, which is a Windows 10 system that I have installed as a VM. So to start with, let us do a quick Google search for Atomic Red Team. So you can go with the first GitHub repository that you get as the result. Let me open that. Okay, so here is the GitHub repo for Atomic Red Team. So you can see the various files that it requires. If we go inside this folder, which is called as Atomics, we get to see the various techniques, various MITRE techniques that Atomic Red Team supports. Right, you can launch all these various attacks in order to test your defense systems. Okay, so now let us go back and get the repo to our local system. So here's the repo, but before we download this as a zip archive, one thing that we should take care of is any security solutions like AV that are present in this testbed. Right? Because as it contains a lot of various attacks, as we saw, your antivirus solution might flag it as a threat and might block it from being downloaded. Right? So let me block the defender. That is what I have here. So I'll quickly look for Windows security. I'll go to the virus and threat protection. I'll click on manage threats and I'm going to turn off everything over here. All right. So once you do that, of course, Windows just gave us a message that the threat protection is off. That's what we want. All right. I'm gonna minimize this and I'll continue to download the zip archive. Okay, looks like the file is getting downloaded. Okay, there we go. Here we have our file. Okay, so after that, we also need the invoke atomic framework in order to execute the atomic routine. So I'll open this in a new tab and I'll also have this downloaded. Same thing, I'll go to the code and I'll download the zip. Okay, so meanwhile this downloads, we can have a look in the installation and usage instructions there. I'll open this in the new tab. So yeah, let me click on the installation. So here are the commands that we need in order to have this module installed. So let's wait for the download to complete. There we go. we have both of them downloaded. Let me go inside the folder. Here are the two. So let's do this. Let's have it unzipped and put them up in C drive. So let me do that. Let me extract them first. Okay. Extract. This might take a while. Okay, so we have this extracted. So now what I'll do is I'll go into my C drive and I'll create a folder called as Atomic Red Team. There we go. And I'm gonna move these two to the Atomic Red Team folder, the extracted folders. Before we start executing it, let us do a bit of cleanup here. So, there is a folder inside a folder with the same name, which we don't want. So what I do is I'll just move all these things outside and get rid of that empty folder. Right, there we go. It's done. All right. So same thing over here. Move everything outside and get rid of this empty folder. Right. And we have to we have to do one more thing over here. We need to move this automix folder outside this atomic red team master. That is because that is how all this automix or different tests are referenced in the commands, right? So that has been done. And one more quick change over here. Let's rename this folder and get rid of -master. There we go. So I'll tell you why I did that in a while. So now the setup is ready and everything what we need to do, we'll be doing that in the PowerShell, right? So I'll also have the PowerShell open and ready so that we can start with the installation. I'll run it as the administrator so that we have elevated privileges. Cool. We have the PowerShell open and now let's move on to the installation instructions. So we need to execute this command first. And even before that, guys, the execution policy would be restricted. So we need to bypass the execution policy. So this is what I'm going to do. Just execute the simple command so that you get your execution restrictions bypassed there. So now I'm ready to execute all these commands. So I just copied this command. You can use the copy button over here, right? It's copied and go back to your PowerShell, execute it. It's gonna install the atomic red team module. I'm gonna say yes. Okay, I'll say yes again. saying it's an untrusted repository. That's fine. All right. Now this has been installed. So let us move on to the next section, which is import the module. We have done with the installation. So let's see how we can import it. Okay, there we go. So this is a command that we should be executing in order to import the module so that we can start running all the tests. So you guys might remember that I did got rid of the master from this folder that we downloaded. That is all because of this. Here in this command, we are referencing this folder as this from this particular path. And here, if you see the folder name, it's without master. And that's the reason why I got rid of master from the folder name. Okay, so now I'm going to copy this command again. Copied. I'll go back to the PowerShell. But note here, I'm inside Windows System 32. So first I need to get to the folder that we need. Okay, I'll go to C drive. Let's do a list directory. Atomic Red Team is the folder that we need. All right, let us go inside it. So there we go. So we have the invoke atomic red team folder here without master. So my command, if I just type it over here or copy paste over here and execute it, that should work just well. There we go, it worked. Okay, so now that we have imported this module, let us see if it is being shown up or being recognized by the PowerShell as an imported module. To do that, all you need to do is just execute this command, which is get modules. Oh, I think I did the typo there. It's just get module. There we go. So as you execute, you can see that invoke atomic red team is here in the list. And it's a module of TypeScript. Great. That's all we need. Cool. So once we are there, we can start exploring the various attack techniques that we have. Right? So in order to do that, I'll be using this invoke atomic test command followed by any technique ID of my choice. So let me pick a technique ID there. So I would probably go with one of the basic ones from the reconnaissance. Let me go to the MITRE attack framework to do it. Or if you already know the technique ID, you can directly go with that, but I'm just showing you a way using how you can. All right, I'll go to attack.mitre.org in order to pick one of the technique ID so that I can execute the corresponding attack. So one that interests me is something from Discovery. Let us pick the simple one first. And I would like to go for System Network Configuration Discovery. Right, so the technique ID for this is T1016. So if you open it, you will get more details about what the technique is and more of the details. Yeah, but for now, I'll keep moving with my command here. So now I know the technique ID, which is T1016. And if I just hit enter right now, it's gonna go ahead and perform all of those attacks. But before that, I would like to know what are the different types of attacks that I will be performing by this particular test, right? So to do that, let me before I even execute it, let me quickly clear the screen so that we get a better view. There we go. Okay, invoke automatic test followed by T1016. That's the technique ID that we narrowed down on. And as I was saying, if you just hit the enter key right now, it's going to execute all these tests, which I don't want. I would like to learn what are the tests that will be performed even before I do it. So there is this particular flag that you can use, which is hyphen show details brief. Okay, so once I execute this, this is gonna show you what are the various tests that will be performed or what are the various attacks that will be performed once you execute this particular test. So if we see in the list, we see that there are these many tests, somewhere around 6 or 7 that will be performed. Right? We have system network configuration discovery on Windows, list Windows firewall rules, system network configuration discovery by the trickbot style, and many more, right? All of these things are there here. So this is only telling us, again, the names of the various attacks, right? But it's not going to tell how that particular attack is performed. If you want to learn more about it, all you need to do is hit the up arrow key to get the previously executed command and get rid of this keyword brief from here and then execute. So once you do that, it's gonna give you the whole details about how that particular attack will be performed. Let me pick the simple one. Uh, for instance, so let me go to the top and there we go. So if I consider the test number 1, which is for system network configuration discovery on Windows, and if I take a look into the command over here, these are the various commands that it's going to execute in order to fetch the network configuration information, right? And similarly, if I move down here for this particular test, which is to list open egress ports, this is going to use a PowerShell script, and the whole script has been given over here for your reference. If you ever need it for your POC sort of thing, you can grab it from here, right? Okay, cool. So let me clear the screen. So after this, every test has some prerequisites, right? So let us see what are the prerequisites for this particular attack technique. So in order to do that, you just need to use this flag, which is check prereqs. Hit enter. There you go. It is checking for all the prerequisites, one after the other. And if you can see here, so the prerequisite for this particular test number 1 of technique 1016 has been checked, and you can see that there's a message also which is saying the prerequisites has been met. So these are all basic discovery commands. It might need PowerShell maybe at the most. Other things were mere commands. So this is a simple one. So yeah, in that case, we are good to run this particular test. So now let me remove that flag and I'll go ahead and hit enter. So once I do that, you can see on the screen the various attacks are being run, and you're also seeing the result of it on the screen. So you can also see the progress of the test at the top, which is good. We know what's happening. So let's wait for all the tests to complete. Okay, it's now moving for the Quackbot recon test of the attack. Let's wait for that. All right, so if we notice, this particular test over here, which is T1016-6, let me move back there. I was trying to highlight something. Yes, there we go. This is a defined enumerate active directory subnet objects, right? And I think this one got terminated with an error, right? And it also says server is down. That is because, probably this system is there in a workgroup and not there as a part of the domain, so there is no active directory. That's the reason it got failed. So no worries, we have other tests that got successfully been performed. And yes, I think we are all done. We are back in the prompt. All the tests have been completed, and the results, you can see it over here, right? So you can go through all the results. Let me start from the top. Of course, I'll not go through each and every result in a very detailed manner because that's not our goal. But yes, here are all the various results of the attacks that just happened. The list of the results can be pretty big. Okay, so I think it has overwritten some of my terminal space there, so that's fine. So, but yes, you get the point. So these are nothing but the firewall rules that has been discovered. And if I keep moving, okay, there we go. So yes, the Quackbot Recon results are over here. It has got the username, SID, group name, privilege information, and all the other stuff. You can go to the results, if you're interested to. But yes, now as all this attacks has been successfully run, now we can go back to our security solution and check if the corresponding rules have been triggered there or not. They could be alerts or they could be just popping up on the dashboard. But yes, you can go ahead and check on the security solution to check if these were detected. Right. So now, as we were seeing, there are somewhere around 6 to 7 various attacks in under this particular technique, right? And let us say I'm interested to run only the second one where it's going to list all the Windows firewall rules. I'm not interested to run any of the other things. So how can I do it? All I need to do is note down the test number over here, 1016-2. This 2 is nothing but your test number. So once you make a note of that, you go back to the previous command and use the switch called as test number and followed by a space. You specify what is the test number that you want to run. In my case, it's 2, as I want to list all the firewall rules, and I'm hitting enter. There you go. Only one particular attack was executed and the results are on the screen. Right. So similarly, let's try going for another technique, which is T1027. So I'm picking this one because it has different set of prerequisites. So let's see that. Okay, I'm going for show details brief to find out what are the various attacks that will be performed. So if you can see, it's going to execute some base 64 encoded PowerShell commands and all the other different attacks that you're seeing on the screen. Again, before we run it, we need to make sure to check the prerequisites. So I'm going to use this switch, check prereqs. I'm going to hit enter there. All right. So here, if you say, for most of the attacks, the prerequisite was actually met. But for one specific one, which is this execute from compressed file, the prerequisite has not been met. It is saying it requires a compressed file, and The compressed file with the name t1027.exe must exist on the disk at this particular path. So you can either choose to do it manually if you really want to, but Atomic Red Team also provides you an easy way of doing it. So to ensure that you have that prerequisite checked, what you need to do is instead of check prerequisites, you have to give get prereqs and hit enter. So this is gonna download or create that particular prerequisite in that directory so that you'll be able to perform all your tests successfully. There you go. If you see, it says prerequisite successfully met, and this has been taken care. Now you can feel free to run this test. If you want to run an individual test, go ahead, or if you want to run it in total, do it. I'm running everything. Let's say you can see there's a encoded PowerShell command over here, and rest of the tests are being executed. So it also did open the calculator application as a part of one of the attack. Right, and it's done. So now if you go back to your security solution again, you should be seeing some more. Okay, the technique that we just ran is for obfuscated files or information, which is T1027. And now let's also give a try with a similar one. And this is for process injection. So again, I'll keep the, okay, I think I made a typo here. Let's figure it out. Okay, there we go. Show details brief. Right. Okay, so these are the three process injection attacks that it's gonna attempt. Shellcode execution via VBA, remote code process injection via Mimikatz, and section viv injection. So let me check the prerequisites. It is checking for all the prerequisites. Let's wait. Okay, we can see that there are two of the three prerequisites that are not being met. So shellcode execution via VBA is not there. It actually requires the Microsoft Office to be installed, but I don't have it. So, but even though if I try getting the prerequisite, I don't think it's gonna install Office 365 or Microsoft Office there. So that's ruled out at the moment. The second one I think would surely work. It can probably get the Mimikatz and try its attack. So let's try that. I'll go ahead and give the get prerequisites command. Let's say see again, guys, this is one example where it actually requires our intervention in order to meet this prerequisite. This cannot install Microsoft Office for you, so you go ahead and install the Office 365 in order to successfully run this particular attack, right? But no worries, you have other versions there. Okay, for some reason, this Mimikatz is also not getting installed. But for the PSExec one, it was able to meet the prerequisite. So what you can do is you can actually manually download and put the Mimikatz in the specified path, right? So here it is. In the temp directory, mimikatz.exe. So what I'll do, I'll manually go and I'll download Mimikatz from the internet and I'll put it over there. Mimikatz is again a GitHub repo. Let's have it downloaded and see if it's gonna work. Cool. So I'm gonna download this real quick. Meanwhile, this downloads, let us go to the path. Okay, so this is the path. Percent 10%, which is the Windows temporary directory there. I'll go to run, paste this. This is the temporary directory. And meanwhile, I'm pretty sure my Mimikatz is also downloaded. Let me refresh. There we go. Mimikatz master. So I'm gonna extract this. Again, guys, please make sure your antivirus is off. I'm gonna rename this Mimikatz, and I'm gonna copy it inside the temp directory. There we go. Mimikatz x64 and the Mimikatz application is here. Now we have completed the prerequisite manually. Let's see if it's gonna check out now. Okay, now it's checking for Mimikatz, and there you go. Prerequisite has been met. So now if you go ahead and execute this particular attack technique, you will be able to successfully execute it. And that's how you work with Atomic Red Team. Okay, and before we call it a wrap, one important thing. Remember, we did create a lot of mess while we performed all these attacks, right? So it's always a good idea to have them cleaned up, especially the Mimikatz one, right? So there we go. So in order to clean it up, what you can do is you can just call the attack technique ID followed by the flag clean. So that's gonna clean all the mess that we just created. It will be done. Same thing with respect to the other technique IDs. So to 7 for an obfuscated file or information getting cleaned up. And also 1016 for discovery. This did not do much though, but to be on the safer side, you can go ahead and have them cleaned up too. So yeah, that's about it. I hope this was informative and thanks for watching.